starting streaming now. We're starting! I got tons of liquid to drink. All right. I got tons of actually things to drink right now. So that's part of it. Last time we were doing this, I got way too parched, and I was like, I was coughing, I think. I'd have to go back and listen to it. I don't remember. It was a couple weeks ago. But people like the Q&A, so thought I would just, throw my hat in the ring and try to do a Q&A, especially since I've been kind of all over the place the last couple of days and taking a couple exams. I have a couple days before my next exam, which is nice, but today has been kind of, I guess it's, how do I say this? It's been like all over the place, really. It's personal obligations and trying to do my best to actually study, but so exhausted from my last couple exams and having a couple days in between the next one. I want to actually just relax a little bit. So it hasn't been the most productive of days, but I have been trying to do more. That's my biggest thing. What's up, Steven? What's up, Leo? Always good to have both of you guys in the stream. Thank you all for joining, especially everyone else who is in here as well. So thank you. Hope school went well. Well, school's still going well. It's not over just yet. I got 2 more exams. It'll be over next Friday. So we're just gonna have to wait and see how that actually goes down. Like I said at the very beginning of this, I've been kind of in a weird mood the last couple days, and I thought to myself, I need to. Golden Scout is in here. What's up, man? Wait. The cloud in the thumbnail has a face mark. What? The cloud has a face? I don't see a face. Maybe if you could take a picture of it, you can draw it on paint or something, or whatever. So anyway, yeah. So I was doing just some normal, studying. So one of my professors, before we start talking about Dragon Ball or anything else like that, and before I can start to cry about how I wish I could have gone to Kamehacon, but it's just been kind of a crazy weekend, and I had a test last night, which was not fun, and I think it actually made me sick. So it's this weird thing. Like, I don't know how many other graduate schools do this, or whether it's just my school. I don't know. I've never really experienced this before, but my school always gives us like colored paper to take the exams. I guess it's like a cheating measure. They don't want you walking away with the test, and it's just easier to spot, like, if someone has a blue or green or pink or yellow piece of paper or like packet if they walk out of the exam. But it makes no sense because you have to give it to the proctor when you walk out. But anyway, they give us different colored paper every single semester. So this semester it's green, which is kind of a nice color to look at, but not when you have like 200 multiple choice questions you have to do over the course of 3 hours. And I was looking at it, and people were getting up within like an hour and a half or so and turning it in, leaving. And you're like, wow, these people are like really good at multiple choice questions, because it's going to take me another hour or two to get this done by the time some of the people were leaving. So I was trying to. I was throwing everything I could at this, but by the time I got to question 150, I was just out of it. I mean, my brain was off, and looking at these green pieces of paper and just having that color like embedded in my eyes, it's just something weird. It messed with my brain. And no worse off than last year around this same time when I was taking my exams. It was pink. And the problem with pink is like an angry color. Like, red is an angry color. It brings out like certain emotions in people if you look at it too long. And when you're sitting there looking at like a pink sheet of paper, that's kind of like resonating in fluorescent light in that room for like 3 hours, your mind just starts to go like crazy. And I don't really like it at all. I'm much more comfortable with white paper and black letters. I don't know why they do this to us. Right above the V in the thumbnail is a face. Oh. So what I do with my thumbnails, okay, I'll get back to the chat. Hey everybody, I know everyone's like, I don't think anyone's really commenting. Whether you're here or not, you're just listening. So the way I make my thumbnails is I bring, like, just the simple ones like this. I just bring a picture from Super or something into Photoshop. I duplicate the image, flip it horizontally, move it to the other side so I can push the center image to the left or right, whatever I need, and then I put an extra skin on it, and I crop out the thing, so you're looking at the same photo, but it's kind of cropped to kind of be seamless, so it looks like its own fluid motion. That way I can kind of put some space in for the words or whatever I put in there. So that's just yeah, I think that face is just a part of what happened in the Photoshop, so that's funny. You for sure did well on the test, Mark. You studied more than anyone I've ever known. No, I guarantee you I don't. Thumbnail secrets. No, I surely do not study more than, I mean, maybe for certain things, but like people I know, I don't study as much. I mean, there are some people who study a lot and really push themselves, and then there are people like me who I do my best, but I'm not the best of students. I just try to keep my sanity, and that's one of the reasons I do this YouTube stuff. I really like to keep my sanity, and I have to admit, just for my own sake, that ever since Dragon Ball Super ended and the community's kind of died down a little bit. I mean, not even just the fandom, people who watch and communicate on videos or whatnot, but also like the content creators have kind of become more busy, and we've kind of started segregating into other content and whatnot. It's like, wow, I wish it was still back when Dragon Ball Super was airing. It was always just a nice distraction from everything, and it kept me busy and organized, and using all my free time on something that I felt was really productive, like YouTube. But now, even though I still could do that, I'm in kind of the process of rebooting everything, kind of updating and using the talent and the stuff that I've received from YouTube or doing YouTube over the last couple of years to figure out what I want to do in the future with this content. And it's not going to be the same thing, but it's not going to be as frequent, at least as we're in this kind of interim stage. So that's really the problem I'm having right now, is how do you take how do I reimagine what I've been doing for the last couple of years? I'm more comfortable with it now, yes, but at the same time, I want to push myself into further unfamiliar territory that's going to be a lot more fearful, frightening than anything I've done previously, and that's the hard part. But in the meantime, hopefully the discussion things and everything will go down to real talk, as that's also being rebooted. But this channel will be discussions and the rewrite series and other pitch videos and stuff like that. That's a lot more thought out and put together in a way that's easily watchable, and hopefully things that people actually really like. So that's all I really have to say about that. Greetings from Greece, my friend. It's 6 a.m. here. Oh my gosh. Thoughts from Shallot? Thoughts for Shallot. What's Shallot? I'm sorry. I don't know what that is. What's up from Oklahoma? Oh man, guys, that's awesome. I can't believe everyone is so far away. One of the reasons I absolutely love doing all of that is because no, Real Talk won't get totally rebooted. It's gonna stay pretty much like it is, but it's definitely gonna start changing if I can if I could figure out a way to do this better. I'm much better than when I started now, but I still not fully comfortable and confident in myself to do the stuff that I want to do, or have the drive and okay, no matter what, like this is actually going to succeed that I want to do. You have to believe in yourself to even put pen to paper or anything else like that. So that's definitely something. Anyway, like I was saying, one of the reasons I love doing these things is because there's so many people out there. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of people come to the live streams anymore because a lot of people, there's like nothing to talk about other than just like real world stuff or other things, not just Dragon Ball related. There's not as much questions, but I have to say, the thing that I think people really the thing that I think is the most amazing thing about this is that people come over and they watch from all these different places, and they share their thoughts and opinions. It's like, holy crap, like I'm communicating and talking with people from all over the world in like one moment. And all different times, people just kind of tune in just to listen to me talk and like, get their thoughts out and hopefully have questions and answers, segments and whatnot. And it's just unbelievably awesome. That's why I like doing these Q&As every now and then whenever I get some time. And that's why I'm glad I actually got to do it today. Like I said, it hasn't been overly ridiculous day for myself. Maybe like 4 hours of real studying. The rest is just kind of hitting myself over the head with you need to be studying and hang out with family, just because it's been like a pretty long time since I've actually got to do that. So anyway, okay, let me get to a real question here. Charlotte, the new Saiyan from the new Dragon Ball Z movie in December. So is Charlotte the new... Okay, so is Charlotte the new Saiyan from the movie, or is he the one from the video game? Because I thought he was the one from the video game, but like I said, I have not been keeping up with every new thing that's been coming out recently because of my situation. I think he's only for the game, and based on what we saw from the teaser trailer, although it's pretty early on and that teaser trailer can just be what it is and not have anything to do with the movie, not really be any real indication of what's going to happen, and they were just waiting for something, and they just created a Saiyan based on everything they knew and not really what Toriyama gave them at that point. But I'm not sure yet whether it's the same guy, because Dragon Ball has been introducing a lot of new people over the last couple of months, and people transformations, everything. And I was actually thinking about doing a video about this pretty soon here, about how even though that's really cool that they keep introducing all this stuff, it's primarily, at least in my opinion, for them to... It's for them to keep the hype alive for Dragon Ball. They're keeping things alive with video games and other media in order to keep people interested until that movie comes in, and then they can start promoting another television series. And none of this is going to have any bearing on the television series or movie whatsoever. They just want to keep people's hype alive. And while you can consider that being a cool thing or not a cool thing, I kind of resent it, actually. Like, yes, I've kind of come to realize that most of what Dragon Ball does with video games and other extended universe content outside of the movies and even outside of the show is simply fan service. It's become very clear to me over the last couple of months, and no, not just last couple of months, but last couple of years, that these situation or these games and everything introduce concepts and characters that are more entertaining than the television show itself, at least in a broad stroke situation. Like, oh, we can really explore this, and the television show never picks up on those cues, and they never explore those characters in any real depth in the main series. And it's like, well, yes, it's cool to have Android 20, yes, or 21. Yes, it's cool to have Toa and Mira. Yes, it's cool to have all these other new Saiyans and everything that's being introduced, Golden Cooler and everything else like that. but we're never going to be able to see that in a real story context, and it's not really worth exploring because it's just simply there for like an icing on the cake situation, and I don't like that. I really, really don't like that if you think about it in broad strokes, really. So, yeah, I'm gonna leave that at that. Oh, I thought you were just wanted to talk about the food, this food stokie. Oh yeah, I thought he was trying to talk about the food as well. Okay. No, the upcoming mobile game Dragon Ball Super Legend or Dragon Ball Legends. Any new info on the new Dragon Ball's Super movie? No, I mean, we know it's coming out in December. We can all just wait for it then. It's gonna be crazy. I can guarantee you when this movie comes out, it's gonna be absolutely insane, and people are going to be all over themselves. I think the community is gonna come roaring back at least for that month or a month before it or something else like that, and we're all going to just jump on it. But we're gonna have to wait and see. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure. It might be interesting to see if they let it sleep for too long and people have kind of a bad taste in their mouth from Dragon Ball Super. Even though Dragon Ball Super was awesome in my opinion and most other people's opinion, it would be interesting to see that the vast majority of people was like, oh yeah, it came, it went, and it wasn't exactly what I wanted. I don't think I really want to jump back into it because, it was just more of a nostalgia thing that became a weekly tradition. But once I got away from it for a year, maybe longer, it's not something I really have to explore anymore, and I kind of scratched that itch type of thing. And that's a real worry of mine, is that the community will falter. But at the same time, I mean, from what I hear from most people, like 3,000 people or more people are in attendance for KamehamehaCon this weekend in Dallas. So, heck, if those are dedicated people too. So if that's dedicated people, then this is still a huge franchise. I mean, solely a con solely for Dragon Ball. That's crazy. Like I said, being in Texas, I really wish I could have been there, and I thought about it greatly, heavily, and the real reason I didn't go is because it's really not. It wouldn't be a good decision in my opinion on my part. School is far too expensive and important to just kind of skip over and just kill a weekend, especially when you have tests in between and on the days that it was actually going to be premiering. So if it was next weekend, I would totally be there. And I wish next year it's on a weekend that I can actually go. Also, for anyone who's interested or knows this, I think Texas Fright Fest in Dallas is actually going on this weekend too. So Dallas is busy with cons, and both of them I would really like to go to. It's kind of obnoxious that I don't actually get to be there. Anyway, any new? I think thinking about starting a channel. What is a good video program to edit with? It depends. Like, there's a lot of really good. There's a lot of really good free programs. A lot of people who have Apples just use iMovie. Even if you have Windows Movie Maker, you can just use Windows Movie Maker. I don't really know much about other free programs. I use Premiere Pro. If you have Premiere Pro and you're a student, you can get a student discount, which is pretty cool because it lowers the cost of the monthly service for a long time. And you can kind of write off that. It's one of the best things about it. But it's still pretty expensive. I mean, it's a monthly cost, and you have to figure out a way to justify it. So using a YouTube channel is a great way to justify it, but it is a cost. So think about it. And also, you can get Audacity to record your audio. That's free. I use it on my computer for the one I'm using right now. You can also get OBS, which is free, which is good for picking up other people and discussions if you need to do that or something. I would just look it up, do some research. YouTube is a really good resource to actually figure out how to start a channel, because all you have to really do is type it in the search bar and people will walk you through every single step that you need in order to figure out how do you want to do it. And then you just, figure out what it is that you want to do and your voice is, and that's the entire journey. It's I will say that it's difficult and you don't really know what you want to do. I mean, I've been doing this for nearly 3 years and I don't really know what I want to do yet. The growth has really slowed down. I'm totally fine with that. YouTube kind of punched me in the dick a couple times. And I'm not a couple times but for a couple months, even still. And it's fine. It's fine because, it does allow me to kind of recreate myself and recreate my content. I just need to find the motivation to do it. And with super ending and everything else like that, it's great. It's just, it's like starting a new channel again, but not as hard this time because I know how to talk in a room with a mic, which is hard to do at first. It's really difficult. And then you have to really recreate who you are and what it is that you bring to the table, and that takes some soul searching as well. So anyone who wants to start a YouTube channel, I always say, go ahead, do it. It's really awesome. You really should do it when you can. But it's hard. It's definitely hard to do it, especially at first. Let's see. I'll get to other questions. Let's see. Can Goku surpass UI? No. I look, Goku can get as strong as whatever the story wants him to be. I think if they were to bring the story back for a very long time, he will surpass UI at some point, but he won't get UI very quickly. He can't master it. He hasn't been able to master it. He can't bring it out at will. And if you ask me, I don't like UI. It was cool when it lasted. It was kind of cool how they built it up, but the very fact that he was able to quote unquote master it, even if his body can't withstand it, is kind of cheapening Goku's future prospects, because every single time he's in a big bind and you're like, oh man, like this is a Goku versus Frieza situation. How is Goku going to step out of the how is he going to get out of this one? There's always going to be that thing lingering in the back of fans' minds. Like, why doesn't he just go Ultra Instinct? I mean, he was able to go Ultra Instinct against Jiren. That was everything on the line type of situation. He was able to do that, even though he wasn't able to use it for a very long time. It was all or nothing. This is all or nothing. It's basically the same. It's basically the same point. And even if, and that's a hurdle they have to get over. But even if they allow him to go Ultra Instinct, then you're going to have to start dealing with, well, how is this enemy so strong that he can withstand Ultra Instinct? Like, Goku can just simply go into Ultra Instinct, which is this form that people really shouldn't be able to hit, but we already saw Jiren hitting it, so obviously people can hit it, but how much stronger can people get from that? I don't know. It becomes a head scratcher, and this is always going to be something Dragon Ball Super or Dragon Ball in general has to deal with. Is it's a fighting anime, and you can only get people so strong before we're like, this makes absolutely no sense anymore. But to Super's credit, Dragon Ball Z ended like that. I mean, they took out Majin Buu. It was like Goku can't really, no one can step to Goku anymore. The guy is the strongest person in the universe. And then they brought in Beerus. They brought in the Gods of Destruction, Xenos, the Angels, Ultra Instinct, Jiren, Hit, all these other things that were able to step to Goku. And for the most part, it worked. I mean, we were able to just kind of sit there and accept that story for what it was and just go with it without having to actually question it too much. I mean, I know there's a segment of the community that really likes to question it and tell everyone why they're wrong and why everyone is wrong about how Ultra Instinct is awesome or something like that, because it doesn't make any sense. I don't think that makes, I think that actually actively makes that worse. I don't know. I get into way too long of rants, so please excuse those. Ultra Instinct is like another tier of power. It might be someone in it might be someone in the exempt universe who can do an Ultra Instinct level. That's true. Like, it definitely could be someone. This is Gary White, by the way. It could be someone who does, who was in another universe and who was able to, easily beat Jiren and Goku and all these other things. I think that's one of the reasons they kept those universes out of the fight, in order to be able to explore the multiverse in a bigger way in the future without actually blowing their entire wad with the Tournament of Power, which is totally fine. Man, why did it have to be 8? Like, there was no reason it could have been 8. It could have been like, these are the lowest 4. There's 40 people here, and we could have taken the same amount of episodes with 40 people. It would have been better. I would have done that. And you know what I would have? Like, you would have Jiren, Universe 11, Universe 10, Universe 9, and Universe 4, or 7, I think. Whatever. Like, those are the ones, right? So you mix and match characters. You can have different characters be different things or whatever. And then we're like, well, Jiren is strong, but like all these other universes were exempt. We got to see all these fights happen. It was a lot more impactful, a lot more emotional, and everything else like that. The only reason they did Jiren and they did 8 universes was to make Jiren that much stronger and that much more badass, which makes sense, but I'm not really sure it played into the multiverse theory or the multiverse story very well. They kind of they hurt their multiverse concept more than they really needed to in that arc, at least in my opinion. Am I the one who hated Infinity War? Yes, you were the only one who had hated Infinity War. I absolutely loved Infinity War. You know why? And this is going to be a completely different rant from Dragon Ball, but I wanted to say why I liked Infinity War. Infinity War is a Marvel movie. Infinity War is a Marvel movie that's where the hero is the villain and not the other way around. The Marvel movies always have bad villains. Almost every single time. They've had a pretty good string of awesome villains. I mean, Helena from Thor, Birdman was pretty awesome, and then Killmonger was great, and also Thanos is really good, but none of them really focused on the villain being basically the main hero of the movie, and that's what Infinity War was. It was very much a Thanos origin story that showcased this type of tyrant titan coming to power and actually finding himself in that realization of power the same way that the original Iron Man was, or Doctor Strange, or any of the other Marvel movies, right down to the people he fought. I didn't realize this. I won't take credit for this, but outside of everything else I just said, like, I did realize that going into it. But I was just watching Movie Bob. If you guys don't subscribe to Movie Bob, then make sure to go check him out, because he's awesome. He's one of the best reviewers and content creators on YouTube. He really is. But his spoiler review for Infinity War, he pointed this out, and I hadn't thought of this. Is perfect. They mirrored the Marvel formula with Thanos, but in the other way. So usually when people fight villains in the Marvel movies, and one of the reasons people don't like that is because you have basically Iron Man going up against the Ironmonger or whatever. I don't remember all of the people. Like, you have Black Panther going up against another Black Panther. You have Ant-Man going up against another Ant-Man, or Captain America going up against another super soldier or something. It's just like it's putting the superhero against kind of a mirror image of themselves and who they could be. Infinity War, he said, and I think this is absolutely true, does the exact same thing but flips it on its head with Thanos, and making Thanos actually the main character of that movie. Is everyone he fights in that movie actually mirrors his story in a way, or who he is as a character. Iron Man and Doctor Strange are actually, really into like who they are. They're like really egotistical, the same way that Thanos is. And then you have Spider-Man, Star-Lord, Gamora, and everyone else that he has to fight and deal with, who's lost some people the same way that Thanos lost his entire world. everyone he deals with personally kind of reflects who he is in a way, and yet they're kind of they're clashing in an ideological way and also a melee way or whatever. But it's really interesting. I think that it's one of the reasons that movie just works on like almost every single level is that Thanos sells that movie hard. Josh Brolin did a fantastic job. I can't wait to see what he does with Cable because he's just a phenomenal actor. He just kind of goes into every single role. And yes, I know, oh yeah, that's Josh Brolin, but geez, I love Josh Brolin. He's so cool. Okay, get back to that thing. Okay, Golden Frieza versus Golden Cooler. Golden Cooler's so much cooler that I would put him over. But yeah, Frieza would win that fight just because Frieza is Frieza. No, I didn't. But being the comic fan base, trust me, you aren't. I need to find those people. Oh, we're talking about Infinity War here. Okay. Do you feel the adding completely new Saiyans lessens the impact of Goku and Vegeta being the only true-blooded Saiyans in Universe 7? Steven, I'm not sure. No. Okay. I'm gonna say no preliminary, like for just in general, because I think that we've gotten past Goku and Vegeta being the only Saiyans and that making any difference or mattering at any point in the series. I don't really care at this point. I really don't, and I don't know why that is, but I don't even think like being a Saiyan is that big of a deal, especially now that we have Universe 6 and we have Kaba and Caulifla and Kale and everybody else that we can kind of explore in this universe. Goku and Vegeta aren't really that big of a deal anymore. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. I think adding a Saiyan as a villain will cheapen the movie. I really, really think that will cheapen the movie. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that because a lot of people really like Dragon Ball and having Saiyans fight Goku and Vegeta, or just Goku in general, because Saiyans are awesome. That's why a lot of people like Broly. That's why a lot of people like Bardock, because they're just new and different Saiyans, and I think that's what they're bargaining on when it comes to a new movie and revamping the entirety of Dragon Ball Super. But I think we're gonna walk away from this movie, and this is just way early predictions. The vast majority of this community is going to walk away from this movie being like, Shallot or whoever it actually ends up being is just the coolest thing ever, a Yamoshi, whatever. And everyone else is going to walk away going, that was just another Broly movie. I mean, it just kind of boiled down to just another Broly movie, and that's what we have to deal with. And that's going to be kind of depressing. I mean, it's just going to be a bloodbath on this community, on YouTube, on Twitter. People are just going to have varying different degrees of love and hate for this character, because there's no conceivable way or reason to bring in another Saiyan character that will fight Goku or Vegeta at their level without completely upending the entire timeline or everything that we knew. Whether that's a bad thing is still up in the air. I think one of the things that Dragon Ball Super has to do if it's going to continue down in the future is figure out a reason to bring it back. And the reason what I'm trying to say here is like, you have to figure out like the pull to bring it back in the same way that Dragon Ball Z started, or that concept of Dragon Ball Z started with saying basically Goku's an alien, and we all thought he was a human being that was just kind of extraordinary up until this point. But, kind of flipping it on its head and making you see the world in a different way. Dragon Ball Super starts with, there's gods of destruction and Super Saiyans can go Super Saiyan God. Are we ever going to explain that? No, but, whatever. It makes a lot less sense than anything else that we put up, we put there from here. But at the same time, that's what it is. And then even Dragon Ball GT was like, Goku's a kid now, and that was the big hook. Even though that whole concept didn't last a whole long time, it was still the big hook, and one of the reasons they wanted people to watch, or thought people would watch. If Dragon Ball Super starts up again after taking this hiatus, or being canceled, or just ending the way it did, it can't just simply come back and everything's going to be hunky-dory, because we're too close to the end of the 10-year time skip at this point, with Brawl and Pan being born. Oob being mentioned, and we know that they're not going to retcon the ending of Dragon Ball Z, that we know Goku's going to have to be a mentor, and they're going to need to find a legitimate reason for Goku to be front and center stage in this story that makes everyone happy. And they couldn't do it with Dragon Ball GT, and I'm not really sure they're going to be able to do it with a continuation unless they put it in that 3 years. They can potentially make it 5 if they wanted to push it. That would be bad. That would be bad. Like I think that would easily kill the franchise quickly if they come back with a lackluster reason for actually coming back. And I'm really hoping if anyone wants to bring it back, or they're thinking about how they're going to bring it back, they actually have a legitimate reason to, because there's nothing more that could have hurt this series than just simply stopping. If they could have continued and they bring it back with the same exact story they could have continued with, and nothing really changes and nothing's shaken up, then I think that they're going to kill off a lot of this fan base. I really do. Anyway, that was a long rant. All right. Well, I need to find out. The new DBS movie will resurrect a lot of the channels. Maybe. I don't really think so. I mean, it's a movie. It's not a television show. People will talk about it, and people will get like the thrill about it. But once it comes and goes, if you're not still talking about Dragon Ball at that point, if you're not still trying to do Dragon Ball content, and you've just moved on to another anime or just completely stopped your channel in general, then you're gone. I mean, you might do a video because you want to, but you know, like, movies are hard to cover because there's too little too often, and people don't stick around for that stuff. First things first, I'm not a big fan of the MCU. I find those movies as substanceless fodder. Really? I mean, the MCU movies are kind of about things. It's just because they're like kind of fun and humorous and all this other stuff doesn't mean that they're not heavy films. There's been a lot of different ideas explored and thoughts explored in the MCU movies. I mean, one of the reasons they're so popular is because I think they embody the American ideal, or at least what we believe or perceive is what as the American ideal. And that is to say that most people look at American icons or superheroes and stuff like that, and you see people in capes fighting bad guys, fighting for truth, justice, in the American way via Captain America or whatnot. And yes, they're flawed individuals, they're flawed characters that makes them human, but they will always sacrifice and do what's right in the situation. They will sacrifice themselves against the greater evil for the greater good type of things. And that is something I think we gravitate towards because it's something we expect and hope and romanticize in us, the people around us, and the American the American ideal in general, as like what we want to be. And this isn't like the first time our culture or collective consciousness as Americans have kind of backed a genre of films that kind of idealize who it is that we want to be and how we would act in situations as the moral backbone of society. Back in the 50s and 60s and all in early 70s, there was the spaghetti western. The western movies were much bigger back then, but those were kind of the superhero genre of today. A lot of people today would say that western films are dead. They're not. They're not as popular anymore. One of the reasons that is because movie studios don't back those concepts anymore. People don't actually go to see them in great numbers unless they're created by people like the Coen brothers or Tarantino or someone who has a lot of clout behind them. But at the same time, we've kind of come to deal with who or what those ideologies actually embodied as a culture. And even though it's kind of romanticized still to be like, oh, a cowboy and everything else like that, like we've learned to deal with like the reality of what that lifestyle was, not only the grim nature of it, but at least in a personal level, but also the brutality of it and the racism of it and the misogyny of it and all this other stuff that kind of that recycles itself and is kind of hard once you start to realize what all that is to identify with and romanticize, because you know that you really shouldn't be idealizing those situations. But superhero movies are a little bit different because outside of their creators, which sometimes we have reservations about, because oh man, like that the guy who created this beloved character is also like a sex offender. Oh, I shouldn't read that comic. But still, like, Peter Parker, Tony Stark, Captain Steve Rogers, all these other characters, Clark Kent, all of them, they are icons of what it is that we want to be, and they're not bogged down with this untold dark history that we have to actually kind of open our eyes and look at from time to time, So there's a real reason why superhero movies are very popular, and whether or not you consider them substance-based or not substance-based, it doesn't mean that there's not a greater meaning for why people really pick up on this stuff, and it doesn't mean that even the stories themselves aren't really about anything. I mean, for MCU, I mean, just look at their last 4 films. Infinity War dealing with everything that film dealt with without going into too much spoilers. I mean, and then Ragnarok with the mature tones and themes that movie dealt with in its own right, and how Loki, they in Ragnarok they explain how Loki's character tried to cover up that stuff. Their sister comes back, Helena comes back, and she's like, we used to purge, and we used to take over places, wage war, all this other stuff. And then he just kind of decided that he didn't want to live that life anymore, so he decided to cover it all up with like this whitewashing of history. And he completely changed not only who he was, but how people and everyone else perceived him, and he got away with it. And that's real world stuff. I mean, that's real world stuff, and it's relatable, and it showcases like especially. You can kind of delve into like white heritage and perception on history, and to Victor go the spoils and people who write history, and how we perceive our ancestors, and we don't want to think that we're related or even remotely connected to people who waged war, had slaves, or anything else like that. But in reality, it's like there's no real way of knowing it. We just want to paint ourselves as the good guys because that's what we see. And that's what we're raised and told to believe, but in reality, it's just a lot darker than it actually is. And I think there's a whole lot to be said there, even if it's buried under a lot of surface level crap or jokes or something like that. I mean, it could be both. It could definitely be both. I went into way too much of a rant there. I want to actually get to the comments. Jeez, I'm getting way too far behind. Do you feel like adding? Oh, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where I left off. Thanks, I appreciate the advice. Wow, this is so hard. Like the chat thing here is so bad. Tarbull is a full-blooded saying, yes, he is. So, wait. Bucky only recently got back to who he was in First Avengers. The rest have remained. Let's see. Magic based on the heroes. Okay, I'm completely lost. People talking about everything right now because I'm talking about everything. People DCU, all these other crap. Jeez, I'm just gonna have to get to like the very bottom, because I'm never gonna be able to catch up. Do you really know? Do we really know Whis' full power? I mean, the dude resurrected Frieza just with his staff. Oh my god. Whis is just unbeatable. I don't ever really think they're gonna have the Angels fight, but it would be really cool if they did. So is the DCEU. But I understood what you mean. Stuff like Dark World and Iron Man 2 are very fodder. Oh, this is that discussion. Okay, yeah, that's the stuff I just talked about. So I'm gonna skip that stuff. The antagonists are trash. There's no specific character moments for where they just sit back and treat like humans. They're treated like action movie stars. To those characters. I'm just gonna skip all that stuff because I know you guys were talking about it. I would really like to. I'll get back to it at some point. Okay, just get past. Tarvel's a full-blooded Saiyan. I already said that. Yeah, like he is, but I don't even know if he's canon anymore. Like he was canon to the Battle Gods movie. He was canon to Yosun Goku and his friends return, but they kept him out of Dragon Ball Super for a reason. I think. I don't think that they made him part of the main series. I don't think he's actually real in that world, at least yet. We'll have to wait and see. But there's no real reason to bringing Tarble into the main series when Vegeta has Kaba. So, yeah. I'm black. Big guys, but I have any interest in watching it. I wish I could enjoy comics, but I'm more of a book guy. The problem with comics is it's too all over the place. It's just like, oh my gosh, like, there's too much to actually kind of look at and know what the story is. I mean, I guess I'm supposed to understand that there's a story there, but I'm never really the one to be like, oh yeah, that's the story. Like, that's the one I need to follow, and that's what's going on. Like, that's canon. Because with Marvel, it's just like, there's no way of knowing. I think they're going to start rebooting it again, and DC's going to reboot again. They just rebooted. Look, they rebooted in, 2012, 2013, and they're rebooting again? I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. Like why even get overly invested? The movies are the best part, because, the movies can't reboot that quickly. Even if they do reboot the DCEU sometime soon, it's going to have some tangible connection, because I'll tell you this, they're not going to get rid of Gal Gadot. Absolutely not. She's their poster child. She's the only thing that works. Henry Cavill, I'm not sure he's going to stay in there that long. He's a good Superman. I'll give him that. But they've given him nothing to do, and it's not working. Ben Affleck can leave. He can just go. I don't even care, because I was excited. I was very excited for Ben Affleck to be there. I thought he was going to show everyone and prove everyone wrong. And I think once people are like, oh, Batman versus Superman is bad, he just kind of gave up. And it's like, Batman versus Superman's bad, but not because of Ben Affleck. And I think he never really got his head around that. And now he's just kind of winging it and just pussyfooting around, actually dropping that and buying himself out of his contract and not really having to deal with it anymore, which is really frustrating, because I would rather him not be here. I would rather him just leave. If you're gonna have people who aren't happy with what they're doing and not bringing their all, because even though I enjoyed Justice League, he was so obnoxious. I mean, there was just every single scene he was in, it was like, dude, this guy doesn't want to be here at all. Like, he hates what he's doing right now. He hates his life. And it just comes off on screen. And I just can't help it. I was not a fan. They confirmed to us that the DBZ Kai Ocean dub is a thing and is completely recorded. But still no idea when it's coming out. Do you like their dubs? And if it did come out, when do you predict it? I like the Ocean dub for what it was. I I don't know if I would go out of my way just to watch the Ocean dub, but I do like it. And if it is completely recorded, I can imagine it's going to come out sometime soon. It just depends on when, right? So, if I was them, I would do like a... See, my biggest problem with the way that anime is released, at least on home video, is that crap's done. And I know it takes a long time for it to not only just be done, but also give them enough time to put it all together and release it, and they want to build up anticipation for the next release and whatnot. I really think that if they want the Ocean dub to sell well, then they release it as a full pack, like as a complete collection, instead of one saga or one thing at a time, because that's how you get these releases that we've gotten from Dragon Ball over the last decade, where they don't ever complete it, or those things go out of print because they're either releasing too much at one time, or not close enough, or anything else like that, where people stop buying it because it's like, well, I really like what they're doing here. I really like the format. I like the style and everything else like that. But I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait for them to bring it. Get enough out, or get to the Namek arc or something, whatever, and I'll buy it then. And it's like, well, no one's buying it, so we gotta you're just gonna kind of throw it out there. If they've recorded all the Ocean dub for Dragon Ball Kai, then just put it all out there. There is no harm in putting it every single one of them out there. It's already there. You have to just work on it. If you're expecting profit and you've done every single bit of recording all at once, and people will buy it. I guarantee you people will buy it. All right. I'm just gonna skip a lot. I'm sorry. Because I know a lot of people just redo the GT arc better. For like bringing back maybe baby Temple Invasion, maybe babe. Oh, you're talking about like for what they can do in the future. Yeah, I'm sorry, I miss so much. Oh man, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. I'm just coming up with different things. Okay, on a side note, Cobra Kai series is actually good. I heard that Cobra Kai is really good, and it's crazy. I just skipped to the beginning or the end, guys. I'm sorry. If you had something I completely missed, then retype it. I love who would you rather smash in the same is the same thing to bring live chat alive. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. No, I didn't. I remember that way hilarious segment. Oh wait, do you think people took Dragon Ball Super criticism too far, to a point where they stopped enjoying the series and just kept ranting on YouTube, being too critical, always comparing it to Dragon Ball Z? Yes. The thing is, he was on here earlier. I'm not sure. He's probably not on here anymore. I don't know. I haven't seen him comment. Kevin, the Golden Scouter, was on here. I love Kevin. And, he was always one of the people that I actually watched his reviews, because he's one of the people I'm actually subscribed to who does Dragon Ball, and he always had a review for every episode, and he was one of the people who had a different opinion than most, and it was usually pretty negative. The thing about the difference between him and a lot of the people is that he had like legitimate criticisms with the show that I felt were substantial and easy to digest. Like, oh yeah, like that's the different thing. Like that's the different thing. So anyway, he was one of the people. I was like, oh, I just wish that he would have enjoyed the show. I mean, I think that is the biggest issue I have with people who didn't like the show is, man, I wish that you would enjoyed the show, because I enjoyed the show. I mean, I wasn't going to criticize it overly. I understand that Dragon Ball Super has its problems, and I don't really think I let it slide very much. I made just as many rant videos as I did praising videos, and it made a lot of people confused because a lot of people don't really understand. I don't really understand, or people don't understand, like, people on YouTube, especially with what I do. We're just more like pundits. We talk about everything and everything in extraordinary stupid detail. Like, we don't know a whole lot, so we're speculating most of the time and everything else like that. And some people understand that and they enjoy it because it's like, oh, it's just, it's something. It's an idea that's being put out there and it helps me jog my imagination or whatnot. And other people take what I say in one video and kind of say, oh, you're just a fanboy or you just a hater or something. It's like, without the idea that, like, maybe I'm just trying to look at it from all sides just to have a legitimate conversation. And I have to say, it's probably one of the reasons I really like Dragon Ball Super in general, is because I was able to look at it and not really judge it from one thing to another. So I wish people weren't as critical, but I think some of the people like Scouter who were critical actually had a point to make and actually was able to back it up. I heard far too many things, especially when Dragon Ball Super was on, even now, saying that the series is crap for this, that, or the other, which I don't think is an actually legitimate reason to hate a show. It's yes, it doesn't make sense. Yes, it's like this, but it doesn't matter. Like, it's just a kid's show. Don't take it too seriously, and we'll get over this together. But it never really ended up being like that, and I feel like that was a big problem in my experience with the show. And I really hope that we were able to get through it as a community. But there's a lot of people who are still very, very bitter and mad about the way we handled the way we handled our back and forth, and the way that we actually viewed the show. People hate it so much that they don't really want to talk to other people because they liked it and all this other stuff. I don't understand it. I really don't. It's totally subjective. Some people like it for what it is. Some people want it to be better, and some people want it to be trash. That's exactly what it is. Do you think GT needs a redub? I feel like most Dragon Ball fans don't give it a fair chance, thanks to the dumb dub changes. Yeah, no, I absolutely, look, I absolutely love Dragon Ball GT. I've watched it I've watched it 4 times. Yeah, I've watched it 4 times. I love that show because it has some amazing moments in it. It has some cool character jokes and just fun little catches in it, and I wish people would actually go and watch it. I really think that there's a vast majority of the community who's never seen it, and they criticize the hell out of it because people criticize it, because they're kind of told to. Oh, this isn't good, so they kind of jump on the bandwagon with that. And in all reality, like, Dragon Ball GT is probably better than Super, at least as like a continuation basis thing, where it feels more like a character piece than just like a fight for fight type of moment. Albeit, like, Dragon Ball Super actually has a lot more character moments because of the character-centric episodes being kind of the filler. Dragon Ball GT didn't really have that. Dragon Ball GT decided to try to basically make the first 13 episodes as remakes of the original Dragon Ball series, to the point where even they're calling themselves out with, like, hey, we've done this before in the narrative itself. And it's like, wow, this is just so bad, it's almost unwatchable. But once you get past those first 13 episodes, it's really good. I think in this day and age, though, telling anybody to get past 13 episodes of any show, be it 30 minutes or an hour, is asking way too much. I had a friend, and I have a friend, a very good friend, tell me I remember last time we actually sat down and had, like, we actually got drinks and we, like, went bar hopping all night. He was like, hey, like, what is, like, me and a couple friends was like, okay, best television show on television right now. It was like me and my 2 other friends, and I was like, Better Call Saul is the best television show on television right now. And our other friend was like, The Leftovers. Of course, this was years ago. Because The Leftovers was actually still on television. Although I need to watch that show because I really actually like this show. And then I just kind of fell behind after the first season. And but it was good, and I heard it only gets better, and they did the second season in Austin. And it's kind of a spectacle. And I know, like, someone from, even though it's not really a speaking, it does this very bit part, like someone from our movie is actually in the second season of The Leftovers. And we were talking about that, but, this friend was like, The Americans is the best show that's on television right now. And it's on its last season. And I recently, maybe a couple months ago, I actually bought, because it was like on this fire sale, like the first couple seasons on not Blu-ray, on DVD, because FX has a weird release thing. And I told him, like, look, I watched like the first 3 episodes of The Americans, and I wasn't getting into it. Like, these are hour or 45-minute episodes. I just can't really get into it. It's not really my cup of tea. And he's like, no, first 5 episodes, like, they're not. Like, I can understand why you won't get into the first 5 episodes, but, like, after that, it gets really good. And I was like, you realize how much of a commitment that is to ask somebody to ask someone in this day and age to watch 5 episodes of an hour-long program, 45 minutes an episode, to actually get good and actually, like, be worth watching. That's a crazy time commitment to actually, like, hate something and then realizing that it's good. I mean, I just got done. I'm actually watching Parks and Rec now because it's something I can turn on in the background and just kind of enjoy without having to actually really pay attention because it's just a sitcom. I'm just starting to watch that show because the first season is terrible. I mean, it's just god awful. It's not funny at all. None of the characters work. Nothing works. And then as soon as it gets into its second season, it's like, oh, this show is good. But you have to get through like 7 episodes in the first season just to get to that point where you can start really seeing what these characters are and how they're going to develop, and it gets really funny. So I can't deal with it. One of the reasons I love Dragon Ball Super is because I already understand who these characters are. If I was just getting into it now at the age that I'm in now, I would not understand it. I would be on everyone being like, this show sucks. You should not like it. You shouldn't be like anything. And then the other day, like, even on the other day in like a Discord server, like MJ's Discord server, I was in a discussion with people saying that, you know, I was in this, like, okay, I told them that Naruto's not a good movie or a show. Naruto's just not a good show. It's boring. It's just boring. And I don't care if that makes me enemies or whatnot. Like, Naruto is a boring show. And the problem with this is this conversation got really volatile. Like, people were mad at me. Like, everyone in that conversation was actually mad at me because they didn't think that I understood good television. But the difference is, and what I was trying to explain to them is, Naruto is bad. Dragon Ball is bad. The reason we love it and the reason you're going to sit here and defend it with every fiber of your being is because you grew up with Naruto. Because you were there when you were younger or whatever, and you were like, hey, I'm going to watch Naruto right now. This is cool. I can deal with watching this day to day and not really having to worry about the story coming together or any of these characters. And it's just all this melodrama and everything that's going on in that show. And I'm going to, I'm going to stick with it long enough for me to get emotionally attached to everything going on despite the lack of quality. And now that you're older, you can't see past it. And I think that the same is true for Dragon Ball. And I think the same is true for anything that you liked as a kid that you can't get over now and you still enjoy. And I completely, fully admit that. It's one of the reasons I was able to get over my criticisms of what Dragon Ball Super was, because once I stopped bitching about what I wanted it to be, I realized that it was just something that could remind me of who I was when I was younger. and how I felt when I was younger, and something that can comfort me in that way, and I could be a fan of it. So yeah, Naruto sucks. Naruto is really bad. I got to the Chunin exams, whatever you call them, and people were like, oh, like you didn't like that? That is so good. It's like, no, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I don't understand how people say, like, I don't understand how you can sit there and say, legitimate fans of Naruto say, you just have to watch the first 50 episodes and it gets good. 50 episodes. Holy shit bucks. That doesn't even make any sense. Holy shit. Like, that's a lot of episodes for this stuff. I'm so glad I got over that. Okay, whatever. Okay. I like the ending of Dragon Ball Super. Had much more meaning to it than it looked like Zeno testing the mortals' mortality or moralities to consider other universes if they are capable of changing for the better. Agreed. Yeah. I like Zeno. I like Zeno, like, actually growing as a character, but I really wish, just absolutely honestly wished, that he was able to that there was actual stakes in that tournament. We all knew that there wasn't going to be. That was fine, but I don't know. I'm not avoiding anything superheroes now. I'm just skipping to the very end because it's just ridiculous. Okay, anyway, I think the same thing. I think the same thing is gonna happen to everything in media. I liked X-Men Origins Wolverine and X-Men Last Stand as a kid. I'm so glad I got over that. It's crazy, Sloth, because I know that I know you're younger than me, but it's like, I wasn't a kid when those movies came out. That's crazy. Like, I was actually, like, near adulthood. I feel old. But I didn't like them, and I didn't like them when I was younger, but I didn't hate them. I could watch them now and just kind of can't be valued to them. The Wolverine movies are really weird because it's like the only trilogy of films I can think of that actually got better with every single film. Like, normally that's just not the way the status quo works, and I think it's one of the things that makes that franchise so special outside of the broader X-Men franchise, because it's the X-Men franchise is just such a mixed bag of crap. I mean, the only noteworthy ones, in my opinion, are Deadpool, and this is just me. It's Deadpool, Logan, and the Wolverine. I can't stand any other one. Actually, no. Days of Future Past is good, but it doesn't hold up well enough for you to watch it multiple times. Those two, the other three do. And I know a lot of people love X2, but I hate X2. And I can't deal with that movie for very long. I see it, watch part of it, and I'm like, no, I can't deal with it. No, okay, so, wait, you missed my grade 2 or grade 3 question. Which do you prefer? I prefer grade 2. Grade 3 is too big, too muscular, but grade 3, if we've had a lot of fun on this channel. I'm not going to tell you where to look, but we've had a lot of fun on this channel talking about them, talking about that form, and the in very funny ways, to the point where, like, we're just dying. So I encourage you to go look if you want, but we've had a lot of fun talking about, like, the grades of Super Saiyan and what Super Saiyans can do if they express their muscles. But I prefer grade 2 if I have to choose one. I liked Iron Man 3. I know a lot of people did not like that movie at all. I didn't like Iron Man 3. I'm not really sure why I didn't like Iron Man 3 at all. Uh, I actually recently rewatched it, and I had a hard time getting through it. And interestingly enough, like the day before I rewatched Iron Man 3, I rewatched Iron Man 2, and I felt like Iron Man 2, like I felt when I first watched Iron Man 3, was better. Iron Man 2 is still a decent movie. I cannot deal with Iron Man 3. I can't remember. I recently on Twitter posted all of 19 movies in my rank, and I still think I stand by that. But I don't remember if I put Iron Man 2 lower than Iron Man 3. I don't think I did. I don't think I would. I really don't like Iron Man 3. Like, I think it's like bottom ring. Like, if I remember, it was like the Dark World, Thor, Iron Man 3, or something like that. Like the very bottom. Those are the worst, in my opinion. I don't know why everyone likes it. There's a lot of people who like Iron Man 3. Are you? Wait, Sloth, are you really like Steven? Are you really like that much younger than me? I thought you were. I thought you were much younger than me. Uh, I thought it was like I thought we had like a decade on each other, dude. Or I thought I had a decade on you, not only a couple years. I could be wrong. Thor is so good, much better as it went on. LOL. Thor, The Dark World sucked, and then Thor Ragnarok's the best of the Thor movies. Dark World's the worst MCU movie, just absolutely horse crap. I like those two in Daredevil, but the extended cut is actually pretty good. Daredevil's director's cut is actually pretty damn good. Like, I would recommend people watch it. First Class, I love First Class. Actually, that was the one I didn't actually talk about, but I really like First Class. I wouldn't call it a fantastic movie, but it's definitely up there and probably one of the best ones. Iron Man 2 was just meh to me. I should rewatch it soon. Then finally see 3. I don't know. I feel like 3, part of it was the fake out. Part of it was the marketing. Like Iron Man is, I think, is such a mixed bag. Like it's definitely their worst trilogy at this point, because the MCU's best trilogy. Oh, actually, I take what I said about the Wolverine back. Captain America is another trilogy that gets better with every single installment. Every single installment is better. But I know a lot of people would disagree with me. I think a lot of people like The Winter Soldier more than Civil War, but the Civil War is still a really good film. And I think, they did a really good job with Captain America. And then they did a really weird, ridiculous job with, one second. They did a really weird, ridiculous job with Iron Man. Because Iron Man was... The first movie's great. The second movie's all over the place, way too big for its britches. We're not really sure exactly how all this is going to work. And then 3 was just a hodgepodge of everything that was wrong about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It took itself too seriously in the marketing and in the scope at that point with that character, with also trying to amp up the humor to like 10 times fold from the last couple movies, and it just didn't work. Nothing about that worked. I don't know. I never liked it. Maybe I need to rewatch it again, but like I said, I rewatched it a couple of months ago, and I just couldn't get through it. And at the same time, like almost every other movie on the MCU list I've watched, it's like, oh, like, yeah, that was a really good movie. Like, I could definitely rewatch that. But some of them, Spider-Man 1 and 2 hold up really well to me. Just watched it the other day, and I enjoy them a lot. They're really good movies. They are. And you know what? I know I'm not the only one who thinks this, but Marvel really dropped the ball. I like Tom Holland. I think he is the epitome of the Dragon Ball or not Dragon Ball, the MCU Spider-Man. I mean, like, we need an MCU Spider-Man, but let's be honest with ourselves. Wouldn't everyone have appreciated and lost their absolute freaking minds if Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man actually showed up in the MCU, and instead of, like, it's the same airport scene, maybe cut off the recruitment part with Tony Stark and everything else like that, or whatever. But, or, obviously Peter, and that timeline is older now, maybe has like a secure job doing something. I don't know what he's doing, but he shows up, he talks to him. Oh, there's a life I gave up, blah blah blah, you're the Spider-Man. And then like they go to the airport, Spider-Man jumps in. Oh, hey everyone. Everyone's like, holy fucking shit, it's Spider-Man. Oh my god. Instead of like, who's this kid? It's like everyone's like, oh my god, it's Spider-Man. And then like we figure out a way to do Miles Morales in the MCU as the legitimate like kid Spider-Man. Come on. Like, wouldn't that be awesome? I think that would have been really cool. Or even better yet, like they could have just had, even though he's too old now, they could have had Donald Glover or Childish Gambino actually be Miles Morales instead of his uncle, and Miles Morales, instead of being a kid, is actually older, because he was actually trying to become Miles Morales for the incredible the Andrew Garfield movies, and they didn't let that happen. But if you haven't seen that stuff, then really go look up that when you have a chance, like the Childish Gambino or Donald Glover discussions on it, because it's absolutely hysterical. His stand-up with like why he couldn't be Spider-Man to like the greater internet community because he's black. It's one of the funniest things ever. Let's see. God, okay, I'm way too far behind. I get way too much. Should I even watch Thor 2? If you haven't seen it, I graduate in 20 days, Mark. LOL. So we are like 10 years apart. Are you talking about high school? We're 10 years apart, man. These shows, these TV shows are too long. I'm still one of those people who gets mad at Iron Man 3 for not having the real Mandarin in it. Like, you gave me the dude that breathes fire, but you refused to give me the Mandarin. Makes me upset. I agree. I completely agree. It's not that, like, I understand what they were trying to do with that. It's culturally insensitive. They don't really want to get into that whole mess of weeds, all that other stuff that they can kind of justify their decision with. But Ben Kingsley, you ruined Ben Kingsley. He's one of the best living actors we have today. He sold the hell out of that role for the very first part of the movie. I swear to God, the last time I watched that movie, if you allow yourself to get immersed in it and you just watch what's happening before that big reveal, everything works. I mean, the whole Killian thing, like, all that stuff is weird. I mean, if you're just allowing yourself to watch it like it's like for the very first time, or if it is for the first time, the Killian stuff is like, oh, this is weird, but it's just kind of the background noise and not something I really have to worry about. The whole Mandarin stuff is just working absolute gangbusters, and I want this to continue. And then they make that big reveal, and you realize just how much they pulled the rug out from you and everyone else, and how none of the stuff that they had been building up to that point actually made any sense. Ugh. Not my favorite. Not my favorite at all. MCU's best trilogy is the best trilogy in my opinion, even better than the Avengers. Wait. What's the best trilogy? Did I miss that? We don't talk about the okay, whatever. Cap, not MCU. Oh yeah, Cap is the best trilogy. You skip most of them. I liked Winter Soldier the first time I watched it. Went downhill immediately on the next viewing. Some movies do that. Uh, you know what movie? You know whose directors actually do that a lot more than they really should is J.J. Abrams movies. Every single one of them. I mean, you watch them the first time, you're like, oh man, that was great. I actually really like that movie. And then they go completely downhill. The only movie he's ever directed that feels rewatchable the next time, but still on its own franchise is still kind of hard to rewatch as opposed to everything else, is MIB3. Or I am Mission Impossible 3. Not Men in Black. No, Mission Impossible 3. Because it's like, how do you mess a Mission Impossible movie up? Still, Rogue Nation and Ghost Protocol, those are good movies. This is better. But J.J. Abrams just is, at least in my opinion, is not a good director. If anyone's actually gone back to rewatch episode 7 recently, like I did, it's hard to get through. It's not very good. I'm actually going to watch Fantastic Four and 1 and 2 soon. Hope there's some enjoyment in there. SS Jerry, I haven't seen them since I saw both of them in theaters. I think I saw them both on opening weekend, and I remember they had a really good opening weekends back in the day. Box office wise, it was really exciting, and I actually liked the second one better because the Silver Surfer stole that crap. The movie is corny, it's bad, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but at the time, Fox was like, we're gonna do a Silver Surfer movie, and Silver Surfer is such a huge standout in that film that I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see what they do with it. And then they never really got around to doing it, and it was kind of a waste. So they're fun. They're really corny. You can't watch those movies expecting MCU type of material. You have to lower your standards a lot, and you'll be able to enjoy them. Okay, Steven says, Captain America, Winter Soldier, First Avenger, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Civil War, Thor, Ragnarok, and Avengers: Age of Ultron are the ones you'll need to watch for Infinity War. I would watch for Infinity War when you see Infinity War. The ones I would watch are the First Avenger, Iron Man. You can watch Thor if you want, but you don't have to, like the original Thor. So First Avenger, Iron Man, the Avengers. First Avenger, Iron Man 2, the Avengers, the Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, not the second, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, and Homecoming. Those are the only. You need to see those 9, I think. Tom Holland's the best Spider-Man because he's a fucking kid, not a 30-year-old playing at high school or Ellie will. No, Tobey Maguire's still the best Spider-Man. Even Tom Holland's too cool for being Spider-Man. But he is a really good Spider-Man. I'll give him that. One PS, I already saw most MCU movies besides Thor 2, Iron Man 3, and Guardians 2. You don't have to see any of those. If you have to watch one of them, watch Guardians 2. It's not great. It's not terrible either. It's pretty good. It's almost on par with what the original movie is, which is a high bar and a real fun movie. I need to watch. No need to watch any one of those except Guardians 2. It's just a fantastic. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Yeah, it's just a fantastic film. I agree, but I dislike Tom Holland's portrayal a lot more. God, I just can't believe I'm so far behind on these. I take too much time. I'm sorry, guys. I know I've skipped so much. It's not really what I like to do. You are not 28, Mark. I refuse to believe that. You can believe whatever you want. Uh, oh my gosh, how did I miss so much? Okay, I'm gonna try to like get through these. I like both those Spider-Man. Me too. I wonder why reviewers overlook true purpose of tournament power aspect of Dragon Ball Super's ending and call it a cliche and rush like someone has a happy ending. They complain if it's dark, still complain. People are just gonna complain no matter what, man. It's crazy, but you just have to really kind of learn to accept that. I like the way that I like the way they did it. I like the way they turned it on its head and made it more of a growing lesson for the Xenos more than anything else. And we know the Xenos actually care about these characters more than it really looked like, or seemed like ever since they were actually introduced. I'm totally fine with that. I still would have preferred all these movies to be their own separate continuity. Oh wow, not me. My favorite Marvel movie adaptation has got to be Blade 1. Donald Glover would work as Miles Morales because he's 30-year-old playing a high schooler. LOL. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Just cause I should see Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. Should I see Yeah. The first one's okay. Okay, so I actually really like the Amazing Spider-Man 1. The second one's so bad, though. I mean, it just doesn't work on any level. And so, it depends. Like, I would say go watch them just for, like, a fun sake. But if you have to watch one, watch the first one. Because Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone have such amazing chemistry that you kind of want to see where they go after that. And then it's just like, it doesn't live up to the expectations, or at least it didn't with me. And I really wanted them to not take the decision or do the things that they did in the second film. And if they didn't, and they took some of the things I wanted to do, probably it would have been better. By the way, if you want to see what I think they should have done with the second Amazing Spider-Man movie, then go over to Real Talk, because I pitched the damn thing for my very first video on that channel. I'm very happy with that one. So make sure to go check that out if you want my thoughts on that. Besides the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is trash in all degrees. Yes, that's true. Disney fucks everything up. You can't even deny it. No. I can, because without a doubt, a lot of people might not like what they're doing with Star Wars, but I really think one of the problems with Star Wars isn't really that Disney's ruining Star Wars, is that despite it being a galaxy far, far away, and there's potentially a lot of stories you can tell there's not much you can do with Star Wars. There just isn't. I mean, you have to make something recognizably Star Wars, and what that means for people is Jedi, Force, stormtroopers, laser guns, TIE fighters, all these other things, and you can't really deny that they're doing that. They're trying to tell stories, but there's not a lot of story there. I mean, it is a giant world. It's a giant world wrapped around a family drama. And you can't continue that family drama for several generations and several different iterations of that story forever. And they're just trying to find their footing with the right story to tell for that show or for that series, and that's not going to be easy. And like not even Terminator, as much as everyone likes to debate me about this, not even Terminator has that much of a hinge on it. Terminator has a lot more story to tell outside of the Kanas. Like, they have generals and other things that Skynet could try to be doing and going back in time and taking out. It doesn't have to do anything with Sarah, John Connor, or anyone else like that. It could be about taking out generals. It could be about taking about all these other things that they're trying to do, and you introduce new characters, new stories, new backgrounds, new locations, new everything, and it would work because it would be believable in that story. Star Wars isn't really the same thing. There's not a whole lot to care about outside of Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie and everyone else that we've come to know and love in that series. And literally a Skywalker, a Kenobi, a Solo, any of these other people. MCU is doing well. Like, Disney has not screwed up Marvel. If anything, they've helped Marvel become what it is today. And after watching, the last 10 years of filmmaking, although you really can't say 10 years, you really have to kind of say with Disney, the last 6 years or so, because that's when they ended up buying 7 years or so of buying MCU after Iron Man 2. After Thor, I think, Thor and Captain America came out the year before Avengers, but Disney had already kind of purchased him at that point, I think. But it was still under the Paramount logo around the first Avengers movie, so it's a weird legal thing. But they've helped grow it into what it is today. You can't say they fucked that up. They're riding high on it, and I don't think that they've screwed it up yet. Same thing with Pixar. Pixar was in a low for a very long time, but I think they've started to pick that up as well. And even their animation department, even though has started to pick up, even though it's technically true that you can blame a lot of that on Lasseter, who was recently just kicked out because of the whole Me Too movement, all that other stuff. Yeah. God, John Lasseter getting caught up in that's just disgusting. He's not very attractive, man. But I guess if you're the king of I'm the king of kids cartoons movies. Like, I don't know. It's gonna freak people out. Yes, because the prequels are good. Are all the Blade movies worth watching, or just some? First movie's worth watching. Second movie's phenomenal, and the third movie's okay. I mean, the third movie's great because, third movie sucks because Blade sucks. But if you want to see like early beta prototype Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds, then watch the third Blade movie, because that is just absolutely phenomenal. That's the movie he got absolutely like the first movie that Ryan Reynolds got shredded for, and he just kind of kept being shredded and willing and able to play like the action movie role for that movie. And he brings not only the cool stuff, but he also brings the humor. It's so funny. So if you want to watch the third one, it's fun, but it's still terrible. Let's see. Don't shove appropriation. Yeah, they are better. They don't shove cult appropriation down our throats all the time. I don't like the prequels, but they are trying. They're not trying to be PC every 2 seconds. Okay, and Ghost Rider, I think people hate those. The second Ghost Rider is actually pretty good. It's absolutely freaking insane, and Idris Elba's in it, and there's fun parts of it. The first one's really bad. Disney put out the Fantastic Four. Disney put out the Fantastic Four movies. Incredibles. Disney put out the best animated movies. Pixar. Disney revived Star Wars, and has done the amazing job in making the books on my shelves. Disney, the best Fantastic Four movie. Oh, Incredibles. Oh, I understand. Yeah, the Fantastic Four is basically the Incredibles, isn't it? Yeah. The last Ghost Rider was okay. It was self-aware. I just noticed the title. What was it? Yeah. It's just whatever anyone wants to talk about. That's what we're talking about. But yeah, the title is about Dragon Ball, and we're just talking about we're talking about everything right now, really. The Finn and Rose stuff is horrible, but saying Disney is pushing PC attitudes is so far away from the truth. You don't see LGBT or whatever the name is, LGBTQ. It's LGBTQ, man. Don't be insensitive. The name is for the Star Wars MCU. Do ya? I watched I watched everything MCU in a chronological order twice in 1 month, including Agent Carter, Runaways, Agents of Shield, and the Netflix MCU only one time. Don't do that. It's suffering. I would only watch the movies because the movies only care about the movies, and so that's why I'll only watch and care about the movies. But I have kind of wanted to watch Agents of Shield, but I know that it's not an incredibly good show. Like, I heard the first season's kind of dreadful, and then the second season is amazing, and the third season is better, and then the fourth season's just dreadful, and then it's just bad again. So I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna end up watching all Marvel movies, even the 2000s. God save your soul. Whatever you do, don't watch Fantastic Fan Four Stick. Fan Four Stick, please don't. Don't you see the? Don't want you to go blind, man. I never actually watched Fan Four Stick. Actually, I have no inclination to. I got the Bardock figure from Kamea Khan and got it signed by his voice actor. Oh, that's awesome. I wish I was at Kamea Khan. Damn it. I mean, it's so much fun. Like, I'm glad I'm over here, like, doing this stuff, but, like, I wish I was at Kamea Khan. I really do. It'd be nice. Wait. If you're still here nostalgic, I think you'll laugh at the fact that Amy Pascal threw a sandwich at Kevin Feige when he made the Spider-Man offer. Oh gosh, I don't. Amy Pascal's failure. I mean, I wish I was her. I wish I was as powerful as she was, but I'm not a huge fan of her, really. Disney is an empire. I cried when I watched the ending of Rebels. Mark, trust me, you don't need the Skywalkers and Kenobis and Windus and any other names to to make characters. But that's the thing. Like, it's a television show. It's not, like Rebels. Rebels is a television show. It's not a movie. You can't simply just like upend everything and expect us to care. If they were gonna do that, then they would have made this trilogy as far and away from the original actors as possible, but they didn't do that. They really hinged a lot on Han and Leia and Luke and all these other things, not just in the movies themselves, but more so in the marketing. So the movies aren't doing enough to get away from those characters, so why should we care? If the episodic stories are solely going to be about our main people, then that's fine. It doesn't really matter, but they want this franchise to continue for a really long time, and it's hard to do that when you're having an entire, like, the biggest moneymakers and the biggest draws for your entire franchise are stories about those characters that you want to start phasing out soon. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't agree. Disney, in my opinion, has ruined the MCU. That's hard to see. I don't understand. I really like it. Bro, you said you didn't like Captain America or Iron Man? Disney has also arguably saved the comics as well. They were selling 100K more a year than they were before the Avengers, and even though they only sell about 300,000 per issue. Yeah, they did. They solved a lot of things with that. With buying them and making them actually culturally relevant, and go watch Rebels. You'll enjoy it. Yeah, you don't need Skywalkers, but what you do need is good characters. Go watch Rebels. Force Awakens gave me hope that the Last Jedi, but the Last Jedi took it all away. I don't think I care to watch it though. Last Jedi is the second best Star Wars movie in my opinion, and not to mention the throne room fight is the best lightsaber fight in the franchise. Hard to disagree. I agree. I wouldn't say it's the second best movie in the franchise, but I think I liked it better than most people. The one thing I wish it didn't have is all the humor, because I know Star Wars has always had humor, but I think unlike the MCU movies, just everything fell flat. And I don't know whether or not that was the movie's fault or the marketing's fault, because the marketing made it look a lot darker than it actually was. And I was expecting like an ultra super serious movie, and the very first part of the movie is a joke, and that kind of threw me off for the rest of the film. No freaking joke. I was not in the mood to like, oh man, ooh, like I was not in the mood for it. What's your take on Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movies? Are you looking forward to Jurassic World 2? Okay. This is probably going to be like the last thing that I talk about here, because we've been doing this for like almost an hour and 40 something minutes. I really don't like the Jurassic World movie or Jurassic Park movies. Never really have. The first movie is kind of a classic. The second movie is just kind of bigger, better, dumber sequel that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Third movie, terrible. That breaking the fourth wall scene is freaking hysterical, though. The talking raptor. I'm never going to lose that in my memory. But everything else just doesn't really make sense to me. Jurassic World, I hate Jurassic World. As a movie, as a product, as everything. I like Chris Pratt. I like Bryce Dallas Howard. However you say her name. I like everything that movie had going for it. Movie pisses me off. It is just one long commercial, and I understand. I understand that was Colin Trevorrow, or at least what he said after the movie was said and done. That was what he wanted the movie to be, because it's this big world, and Jurassic World, the park's open now, and this would just be a advertising icon that would be filled with different types of advertising for cars and beer and Jimmy Fallon and all this other crap. That all would like make sense in the context of the movie. But he's not a good director. He is not a good director who can pull off that subtle nature of pointing out how this is all just a big advertisement for the fun of the story, to inform the story and actually move it forward and make us realize as an audience, more so than this is just one big advertising campaign that's more annoying than a Michael Bay film. And the first time I watched it, it pissed me off so much. I mean, the one thing I can make clear, there's a scene in the movie, I'm never going to forget this because it was one of the things that pissed me off the most, is in Jurassic World, when they're in that SeaWorld exhibit, the one they showed in all the trailers and all that stuff, where like the big dinosaur ate the whale and caused a splash and everything. So it causes a splash, it covers everybody in water, including the kid and his older brother, and the kid's feeling down or something, whatever. And the older brother's like, hey, want to see something cool? And like literally, he's like, hey, want to see something cool? And then the very next shot in the movie is what is it, Lincoln? I don't remember the car that was expressed, like that was shown 15 times in that movie, like close up, the decal. But the very next shot is a lingering shot of a car driving up into the foreground with the logo of the car in the frame, as we just linger on there for like maybe 2 or 3 seconds before the camera starts to move and they get out of the car. And it's like, that cannot be more obvious. I understand you want to play it as this is the thing, but it just, I hate it. I hate it so much. It just didn't. I hopefully the next one's better. Like I said, I really like Chris Pratt, and I really hope that I can get into the next one, but I just don't know what story there is to tell there anymore. I know a lot of people are still talking about Star Wars. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to head out, because I've been doing this for a couple of hours now, or at least an hour. I don't want to do this for that much longer. Anyway, guys, I really agree. I hope everyone enjoyed coming out, have fun. Will hopefully have a decent rest of your weekend and want a good next week or something. Hope everyone who has tests or something coming up does well on them. I hope everyone's looking forward to summer. Don't forget to, just keep your eye out, because like I keep saying, there's a lot of different material or a lot of different stuff coming to the channel in the near future. I just need to kind of reboot everything that I'm doing and try to figure out a way to get it out there in the best way possible. So I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's been real, guys.